Hello everyone, today we are going to build this nested form. We're going to use Zod and React hook form to build this on top of Next.js. So let's have a simple demo. This is a nested dynamic form, so we can add chapters. So each chapter is going to have n number of nodes, and yeah, so this is actually we are creating a course. That's the example. The course can have a number of chapters, and inside chapters we can have any number of nodes, and it's also we also added validation. Also we can remove things like, for example, here we have node 1, node 2, node 3. I'm removing node 2. Okay, so that's what we are going to see. Okay, so I have this repository. There is a start branch here. So I highly suggest you to actually clone this start repository and continue from there, but I'm going to actually build it from scratch. I will be copy pasting the UI required, so we can just focus on the form stuff. So here I'm going to create next app. I'm going to call it deeply nested form. I'm going to select all the default values, open it with VS Code. Let's run the new project. Okay, let's clean up. I'm going to clean everything in the main page. Hello world. And also in the global file, global CSS, I'm going to delete all the dark mode. So this is what we have. In the root layout, I'm going to add some background gray 400. And inside the page, I'm going to actually create a file. So we're going to have a components folder inside src, and that's all we're going to do. So it's actually a container with mx auto, and we have this new course component. Let's create that components / new course.tsx. So I'm going to copy paste the starting UI component. So it does not, it is a simple JSX with some tailwind styles. Okay, so we have 3 components here. New course is going to have the input and the manage chapters. So this is for displaying the error we saw, right? The validation errors. We have manage chapters that manages adding and removal of chapters, and also getting the information for that particular chapter, like the chapter title. Also we have this submit button. So inside the chapter, you're going to have the remove and append adding buttons, and also we have the label input for getting the chapter title, and we have the error. We have 2 things actually. One is for rendering the error, validation error for the chapter title, and one for rendering the error for the notes. That is so the validation is going to be like every course should at least have 1 chapter, and every chapter should at least have one note, and inside that the title will be validated with the number of the minimum characters in the title. Okay, so those are the validations. Let's have a look at so this is the UI we have. This is just the UI, nothing works. So on clicking submit, our form does not do anything right now. We don't have on submit, we don't have an action, so it just does the default behavior, browser behavior. These buttons don't work, it's just JSX. Okay, so when you start with the start branch, this is what you will get. So I recommend you to start with this point, and let's start with installing the required dependencies. We need 3 dependencies. First is Zard, second one is React hook form, and the third one is from the React hook form team only. It's called hook form / resolvers. So this library helps React hook form to work with other validation libraries. In this case, we are using Zard. npm Zard React hook form and hook form resolvers. Our dependencies are done. I'm going to create a new file called forms.tsx. Let's start. So this is going to have the required schemas. We're also going to have the form management hooks from React hook form, and also this is going to be dynamic. This is going to be nested. So not all form elements are going to be inside one component. It's going to be inside nested components, and hence we will be creating a context, okay, form context. So React hook forms, in some way I see that as a state management library. It works like Redux or what other is a stand. So these are like state management library. So I see React hook form as a state management library with other form management tools as well. Okay, let's start to create our schema. Create course. This is going to be we get the Z from the Zard. This is going to be an object. We're going to have a title here, and it's going to be z.string. That is the title, and each course is going to have chapters. The chapters is going to be an array of z.object. So it's an array of object. Each chapter will have its own title, which is again z.string, and we will have notes, which is again z.array, z.object. The last one is content of the note. That is the schema, but you can actually extract out stuff. Like for example, you can extract out the schema chapter. Let's copy this object. So this is much more readable, right? Similarly, you can extract out the note part also. Schema note. Let's just copy paste this out, and yeah, this is possible. This is cleaner, but if you want to have one schema, that's okay as well. The schema is ready. Let's now create let's mark it as schemas. The next part is hooks. So before creating a hook, we need to actually create a type. I'm going to call this form type create course equal to Z has a generic called info. We can pass the type of schema. So this will give us a basic type. So let's use that and see, right? We can do this. Okay, so we are just inferring the type from the schema, and we can use this. In our case, actually we want the type for our use form, so that's why we infer the type. This use form is going to just use the use form hook from the React hook form. There we have to actually pass this generic, or pass this type as a generic, and then we also have to pass the resolver. So here I'm going to use a Zard resolver from the hook form resolver /Zard. Okay, that's why we installed that library. That library actually binds these two amazing libraries together. Inside the sort resolver, I'm going to pass the schema. Okay. So let's just try this hook. This hook is going to give us all sorts of form management functions. Form state, errors. We also have a method function called watch, which we can use to get which we can use to listen to the current data of the form. So we will see everything in action. So these are the basic functions we will be using from this hook. And also these functions are typed. See, we can see that there are like there is title and chapters, but these are the basic functions we will be using in the for managing the hook. But this is sufficient if we have all the form elements in one component. Okay, we were having like register. This is the function that will use to register a particular form element to the state management. Okay, that's how I consider this library. But since we have nested ones, I don't want to use prop drilling to drill down the children, to drill these functions into the children. So I'm going to create a context. Let's delete this context. I'm going to create a form provider. First we need a provider. Create course, which is going to take children, because we need to wrap a particular section to use the context inside. So the children is going to be React node from React. So we can pass anything inside it. Inside, I'm going to get first all methods using this. Okay, this method is going to have the register and everything we just saw. And I'm going to use the form provider from React hook form to wrap the children. Now we also have to pass the methods. Okay, so we need to import the React node, and this is the provider. Next, let's also create the context. So we have something called use form context, and I'm going to pass the type feature we inferred from the schema. So this is the context. This is the provider hook, provider component. This is the context hook. Basically, it does nothing. Like, you can just use this inside the components, but I find it clean. Okay, in order to use this, you have to import two things. But in order to import, we create a hook so that we can only import. We need to only import one hook. Okay, let's implement. So these are the things we need to set up. First, we started working with the schema. This is very important. And then we created these hooks, the type on the hook, and then we created the provider and the context. Let's implement them. First, I'm going to wrap the new course with the provider. Okay, and inside the new course, now we can use the use form context. And now here we will get all the form management functions. Okay, so let's follow. I have these comments. If you are following, just follow the comment. Here I'm going to spread the register. This is going to be title. Let's also get the errors from the form state errors. And here I'm going to render errors dot title dot message. Okay, so this is okay. I forgot to actually while creating the schema, I did not add any validations. Let's do it. For the title, we need at least 2 characters. That applies for the title of the chapter as well. And we need at least 1 chapter per course, or else it doesn't make sense, right? And also at least 1 note. And the content must also have content of the note must also have minimum of 2 characters. That's it. So this error will make sure that the title has minimum of 2 characters, and here I'm going to add the error message from the chapters. So if the chapter is empty, or if there is no chapter with that, this error will trigger, this error will show. We have submit button. So that's all we want to do with the new course component. Let's watch the data. Let's watch the data and error. Okay, so we need to use the watch function to get the form data. Our application is running. Let's make it use client, and the error should go away. Okay, so if you don't want to convert this entire page to a client component, you can do one thing. You can delete the provider. Here I'm going to create an inner course component, component content, and this is going to have the form, the provider, and the okay. Now the page we don't want to mark this as a client component. We may have other server side things going on in this component, this page. Now we encapsulate everything inside one component. This is a possible solution. Now our application is still running, no errors. Let's have the console open. Now we are watching the form state. When I start typing, you will see the data getting updated. Others we did not plug in it, right? We only have added the 1 register. Now let's do the other parts. The second component is a bit tricky because we are going to manage adding and removal of chapters. The others are same actually, because for the provider, both the new course content and the manage chapters are children. Okay, there is no big difference between both of them. So when we are using this context hook, it's going to be similar for both these components. Register the chapter title. Okay, so before that, we need to actually use one more hook called useFieldArray. Okay, that is going to ask a name and a control. The control we get from the context that get passed, and we automatically got this IntelliSense. It says that the whole, it's not equals, it's okay. The whole schema, the root create course schema has a chapters array, so it understands that. Now we get append, remove. These are the functions we use to add and remove the dynamic form elements, and also one more thing called fields. Okay, so that's what we will use to loop through. This field is going to give us 2 things. One is the actual chapter data, and we will get an index. So I'm going to loop through. Let's copy paste the entire part into the map. Also we have to return this. Okay, it's asking for a key. You can provide the chapter.id. Fine. Now that is set. Now we get this index, right? That's what we will use to access that particular item. Now let's register. The first registration was simple, right? We were just using this. The second one is a bit tricky. So let's use a template string, and chapters. Here I'm going to pass the index. Okay, let's rename this to chapter index because we have one more layer, one more inner nest coming up. That will be note index. Okay, so we get the index and then this is title. Okay, we don't get like the auto suggestion here, but the TypeScript is complaining, right? If I type anything, TypeScript won't be happy. But if I type title, TypeScript will be happy. So that's how we know that we are good. So I have added the chapter and the course title. Let's see if, okay. So we have to also make the add chapter button work. Okay. So we destructure the append, right? Let's append one course. The notes is going to be we also have to pass the default values. That's how we start. Okay. Now when I click add chapter, we see this. Now the course and the chapter title are working. You can see the chapter has this. Also when I add a chapter, now we have two chapters. This is the default value we just passed. Okay, let's play around. What if I pre-populated content. Okay, now if I add a chapter, the chapter is going to have a note which says pre-populated content. Okay, so this is important to understand, but I'm going to stick with the default value, which is empty array and the title of empty string. We also have this remove chapter. Let's make it happen. This is simpler. We get the remove from the use field array. We call it with the chapter index. That's it. Now we can add it. So this is coming from some browser extension or something. The error is not coming from our application. I can add the chapter title. I can add more chapters. I can remove chapters. Okay, our form is getting into a shape. The functionality is getting added, and we have to so add the error of the chapter title. Okay, errors. I destructured errors from here, from the context. Errors dot chapters. Oops. We can use the chapter index here, and this is for the chapter title dot message. Okay, well, that's how we access the error of the chapter title. Let's see. So I added some chapter. I'm submitting. Oh, and also I have to actually use the handle submit in the on submit function. Handle submit, that will come from the context. Handle submit will give data, and I'm just printing it. Okay, form. This part will be called only if the form validation passes. Okay, so other than that, we won't be seeing that form submitted unless we fix all the form validation errors. So add a chapter. I add the course title. Chapter title is working. I wanted to see the validation is also working. Okay, I think the manage chapters is good. We have made the remove chapter work. We have linked the register the title input element. I have also added the error message for the title. We have this render error for the chapter notes. Chapter has notes. Notes has some validation. We have okay. We have done it as well, and also manage notes require the chapter notes because it needs to deal with two indexes. The next component, the manage notes, need to deal with two indexes, the chapter index and also the current note index. So I'm passing the chapter index into the manage notes component. That's it. The second one is done. We are in the last step. Again, I'm going to copy paste some things. This is common for everyone in any level. We want to use field array for dealing with adding and removing and appending items. Okay, so I'm going to again use the field dot map. Okay, so this is different. We need to actually get the chapters dot chapter index dot notes. Okay, again we are not going to get any suggestions here, but this type error will go away when I get the right name. Okay, that's how we know that we are okay with that. Okay, we are good. So again, this map is going to get the note data and the note index. You can call this anything you want, but these are clear. So I'm going to keep the body inside, populate the key note dot id. Let's add the remove button. Remove. What index should I pass here? I have two indexes, chapter index and the note index. Here we are actually removing the note, so I'm passing the note index. Let's do the appending. I have destructured the append above, and here the schema of the note is really simple. We only have the content. Okay, let's have some default value here. Default content. Fine, we have added the add and remove. Now let's connect the title, the content of the note inside the chapter, inside the course. So I have the register destructured. Let's use a template string. This is going to be inside the chapter, and the chapter index dot. So this is a bit cognitively demanding. I have to think of the schema, but TypeScript won't allow any wrong values to be there. So that's the only safety net we have. This is going to be chapters, chapter index, notes dot note index dot title or content. Okay, now TypeScript is happy. Let's also do the error. There has to be one more thing. This is for the content. Yeah, okay, I think that's it. We are done. Let's see the demo. Course title, add chapter, chapter 1, add note. So it starts with the default content. Okay, note 1, note 2, note 3, chapter 2, note 1. Also, let's see if the errors are working. There's a small mistake with the UI. I did not. So I wanted to not introduce new components in a production level application. We have a lot of duplicate code here, right? I have the same style for the input. and I copy pasted the error, and somehow I have this. Okay, so it goes away. We did not actually use any persistent data. There is a library called React Hook Form Persist. I did not want to use it, or you can even use the local storage. Okay, so I did not want to complicate it. Right now, when you build it, or when you and the user is doing something and the user refreshes, the user is going to lose the data. Okay, that's it. So let's just see the success message, and that's it. We will be done with the video. Now we are seeing the form submitted with the course title, with the chapter called chapter. We have 2 chapters, and one with 1 note and one with 2 notes. Let's submit it. I'm going to submit it. Form submitted. We have the title. We have 2 chapters, one with 2 notes and one with 1 note. Yep, that's it. So in an actual application, you may have Postgres, a database behind. You may be using an ORM that uses some API or even TRPC. So we started using from the schema. This directly reflects in the UI also. If you think about it, this will be really similar to the actual database we have. We will have database models, right? There will be a course model, a chapter model, a note model, and they will be having one-to-many relationships, just like how it is here. So yeah, so that's the demo. Thanks for watching. See you next time.